Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another help desk training video. Today we're going to talk about the group policy not pushing the correct updates, simply broken. We'll have to take a look into this because this one is a little bit more advanced, but that's okay. This is tier 2 help desk training after all. And we got one with email links not working. They either are blocked by something or there's something else going on. We're going to have to look at that as well. And then we got OneDrive syncing issue, but I actually think there's something else wrong with it. I think it's crashing, and that might be causing the problem that we are having. So we're going to have to look at that. We're going to look at the troubleshooting steps for that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kogu Man. Welcome to another help desk training session. As soon as my remote computer loads up, we're going to get this going. While this is happening, please do me a favor in the comments below, say hello, hi, or present, sort of like in the classroom, just to let me know that people are still interested in this type of content. Thank you very much, and it's good to have you. All right, let's see. Did I use Edge or Chrome for ticketing system? Let me see here. I forget. I don't know why I forget. Here it is. I guess I used Edge. All right. So, wow, we have a lots of tickets here. We have total of 34 open tickets. And let's just kind of check them out to see what's going on here. I have a suspicion it's thanks to Tracy Moore. Oh, there's Emily too. All right, there is Subhas Bandari. Let's see who else submitted tickets. That's a lot of tickets. We're definitely going to get through all of these. You know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. But as usual, Tracy Moore is the most valuable team player here. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And all the other people who submitted tickets as well. I see this is a brand new one from Emily and Subhash. So yeah, everyone, thank you very much. All right, let's see here. I got a bunch of them assigned to me, so I need to get rid of these real quick. Let me see if there are any replies to them, so I can close them if there is nothing. It worked, thank you. You're very welcome. So I'm just going to resolve it. Now, make sure you put an internal note why you resolved any ticket. I just want to throw this out there. Don't close tickets without leaving any notes. Be thorough as much as possible. Okay? All right, I'm just doing this just because we have a lot to do. This one is also, it worked. Thank you. My pleasure, Tracy. I really appreciate you putting all these tickets in. And I know they are tickets from probably from your work, but be careful so you don't like release any sensitive information so it doesn't show up in our video. Okay, this one is also, we didn't receive a response on this, but we're going to close it. Okay, computer issue. Okay, so again, if you're first time seeing this video or first time finding my videos, my channel, these are all tickets that I've worked on already, and now I'm just closing them up to make space for the new ones. Okay, yeah, no response. I'm just going to close them. Again, always leave a thorough note before you close. Also, if you need to follow up, make sure you do follow up before you close any tickets. All right, that was the last one that was assigned to me, I believe. Just to double check. Yeah, that was the last one. All right. We do have still open of 34. Okay, all right, that's okay. Here we go. Issues syncing OneDrive to desktop. Good afternoon. I'm having trouble syncing my OneDrive to my desktop. The icon shows at the bottom of the screen. However, it disappears once I click on it. May someone from your department assist me with fixing this issue? So this could be many things. I've seen applications behave like this, and what this is basically talking about, like if you look on the bottom right here, you know how when the icons are just gathered of all the things that are running in the background. Here's, for example, OneDrive right here. What's happening is user would, obviously after they're signed in, they would click on it, but it would just disappear. So this may not necessarily be a syncing issue. I mean, it could be, but the issue here is, what the main issue is that the icon shows at the bottom of the screen, however, it disappears once I click on it. So what does that usually mean? That means that the OneDrive itself actually closed already. So this is just a remnant of what the OneDrive used to be. So the OneDrive is no longer even open. So let's go ahead and sign into OneDrive, and I'm going to use one of my fictitious sign-ins as part of training of Office 365 that I've used before. I'm going to use Mike M's email. This is why I have Outlook open up, just so I can see up top what his email address is. novo.onmicrosoft.com, and hopefully I remember the password. I should be able to remember the password. There we go. Here we go. It's going to ask me for two-factor authentication. Come on, please work. Please work. I think it's going to work. There we go. So I don't know if you heard that on my phone. Two-factor authentication came up to approve it. So this is a Microsoft two-factor authenticator. So right now, here we go. It went in, and I'm going to click OK here. That's fine. So we are now signing into the OneDrive. Now for this to work properly, there are some things that need to be running in the background. It says here, we couldn't sign you in. If this error persists, contact your administrator and provide the error code CAA50024. Let's see, WAME errors, error responding to the MDM terms of the page. Okay, well, let's see what this is. We're going to click continue. Let's see if it'll let us proceed any further. Now, this was part of my Office 365 training account, and hopefully everything is okay. That error, I'm not sure why it was. It could be related to the licenses that I've used. They are probably expired. I'm pretty sure they're expired by now, the Office 365 licenses that I was using, but that's okay. Let's see what happens with OneDrive. I'm hoping it works. It's installing right now, but what I was trying to get to, and let's assume this was just a freeze right now, right? Let's just say this was to freeze, as in, you know, it's not responding, right? You're trying to click on things. It could be any program, not just OneDrive. Let's imagine that this would freeze, and what happens is it would crash. It would crash, and the reason for that would be, you know, anything. It just depends on the situation on the computer. But let's say it crashes, but it doesn't show that it's crashed. If you go down to the icon here and you try to click on it, and if it's already crashed, you click on it, it could disappear, right? It could disappear. Okay, this is something that happens to every program. Okay, so this could be happening, and the reason for specifically for OneDrive, well, it could be many other things. Okay, so come on, open up OneDrive. And here's a pop-up. It says you are now syncing OneDrive, and you can edit files, this and that. Okay, so anything that's saved in this OneDrive is going to be saved on the cloud in the OneDrive, and you can see these syncing icons. Sometimes they change depending if you create a new document. Here are some things that are already available on the OneDrive, but let's say, for example, I create a new one here. I'm gonna create a Microsoft Word document, and I'm going to call it new doc for testing. Okay, it's gonna take a bit to synchronize. You see right now I double clicked on it. I'm just gonna say this is a testing document. Okay, so I'm just gonna save it, and it's going to need to sync, right? You see how it did a check mark right there? That means it's synced fine, right? These other ones haven't synced yet, right? So that means it's safely uploaded to the cloud, and it's saved somewhere, and you have a backup. And of course, it can be restored through the Office, not the Office, it's called now Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You can restore it, and there's another way to do it as well. Okay, so back to syncing and crashing issue. Well, obviously you can reinstall OneDrive and just make sure it's done. This is just a thing that tells you what happens to deleted files. I'm just going to click OK. But you can see how it took a little bit to sync these things. So whatever's saved on desktop, like things that you see here, it made a copy of it, and once it completed syncing, you get a check mark, right? Same thing is happening for everything else that you're putting inside of OneDrive. So that's a good thing to know, but why is it crashing? Well, let's look at the task manager and see what kind of services we have in the background. Let's see, is there anything in the processes right now that we can see? So let's look at what we have here, and here's OneDrive. It's running right here, and we can see something else that is related to Microsoft OneDrive. And part of that is Microsoft Office Document Cache. And what is that doing? Well, it's uploading those files. I don't know if you noticed, this just went from 0.1% to 0. And what was it doing? Well, it's part of the service that is either downloading or uploading the documents that are within the OneDrive. And here's OneDrive listed under it, and there is Microsoft OneDrive file co-authoring executable. So this is probably related to working on the files together with somebody or sharing files with somebody, and this is what handles that ability to real-time modify and make changes to the files that are added to the OneDrive. And there's of course the web version of that. If you go to the web version of OneDrive, then you can see more of like that type of stuff in regards to sharing. Okay, so this is what's happening when it comes to processes, right? Well, here are services that are running in the background. So if I just type in here's some of the syncing stuff that's related that needs to be run in the background. Here's a syncing host. You can see that this one is stopped, and I believe this one is just a service group for that runs only when it's needed. So this might have the ability to turn itself on or off when needed. So just make sure that it's there. And then we got one sync service 231AD3, and it's a syncing host, and make sure that that's running all the time. So it's okay for the first one sync SVS, to be stopped because it's only turned on when it's needed, but you want to make sure that this one here is running all the time in order for it to function properly. If these things are not running and OneDrive is crashing, then this is what happens. You would go in and you would click on the OneDrive and it disappears. In this case, it's functioning properly and it hasn't crashed, it hasn't frozen up or anything like that, then it works just fine. But if it crashed, and this goes again for any software that's running in the background, you click on it and it would just disappear because it's no longer actually running. All you're seeing is a remnant of an icon of what used to be. So the issue is the OneDrive crashing, and for those reasons you can try to reinstall it, check those services that I showed you, make sure that they're running if there are further issues, but make sure that you reinstall and clear any remnants of the OneDrive. Notice how this thing appeared now, Microsoft Office Upload Center. No files are pending upload. That's exactly the thing I talked to you about when it comes to in relation to this. Okay, so what else is there? Well, when you're reinstalling OneDrive, well, here it is. First of all, here is one version of it, and here is the one for your business, right? This is the one that's designed for my domain, and it shows up separately like this. Why? Because this one syncs your desktop documents and your pictures and things that are preset for your organization. This is what's happening here. This is just a regular OneDrive here. All right, now when you're reinstalling it, you can make sure that some things are cleared properly. So let's say you do remove it, you just go to add, remove, programs, and search for OneDrive. You can uninstall it from here, right? You can just do uninstall. And if there are any remnants of it, some of that would be in either users. So let's say I'm logged in as Koboman, which I am. Go to app data, local, and then look for OneDrive. So if this is still there, this is just cache, as you can see, right? This is cache data. You can just right click and delete it after you remove OneDrive. Now the settings and all of that, make sure, it should all be synced. Well, just make sure you create a backup before you delete anything, I guess. And the same thing, go to roaming and make sure there's nothing there. And it doesn't look like there's anything related to OneDrive in roaming. So mainly concentrate on local. Anyway, so that's how I would go about troubleshooting this OneSync issue. Of course, it could be a connection issue, could be, I don't know what else could be, but you know, those are this is what I would concentrate on to get you in the right direction. So I would say I would make sure that the icon is not this disappearing due to OneDrive crashing. I'm going to say make sure that OneDrive is running in the background under processes. Okay. To make sure that OneDrive, I was going to say OneDrive, oh well, that's just OneDrive services are running as well. You can check all this obviously in the task manager. What else? You can try to reinstall OneDrive. Let's say create a backup of files and folders first. And I know it should save a copy of everything on cloud, but hey, you never know. And yeah, I would start from there, because I'm going to say, yeah, there might be some kind of a permission issue, but when it comes to reinstalling the OneDrive, and let's say it lost some kind of permissions to run, and this is why it's crashing, for example, then make sure that it has the ability to run properly, which should be the case anyways whenever you reinstall. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say I hope that helps. Yeah, it should. I'm going to leave it at that. It should really resolve the issue, and if it not, then maybe there's something else going on with the computer itself. It could be corrupted local profile, as far as I know, or maybe some kind of an access issue. I just don't have enough information. To me, it just kind of seems like it's crashing for some reason. So this one is about opening trusted email links. I am unable to click on a link within this email, so I can email one of the contacts shared. For example, I want to contact Andrew Boyd. When I click on the email link that my contact has provided, it just opens up the CCBC website. This is just a website for their corporation, or their, I believe it's college or university. So it's the place that they work for at. This happens often with links to register for webinars, links to contact people, and links to reports or documents that trusted contacts sent to me. Can this be fixed? And it says here are the links. I will be out of office on maternity leave. All right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. And then here are the links. So it says I want the contact, but when I click on the email link that my contact has provided, it just opens the website. So what this usually means is that it's a redirect to the links. I mean, this can be set up multiple ways depending on the security for your company, or the I should say security for the exchange, for the email exchange. In this case, the contacts that came through the email link, and it says here within this email, right? That means that the exchange server, the email exchange server, is controlling the behavior of the links that are sent to you. Now this could be enabled, disabled, depending on what kind of links they are. If links in general are disabled, where you cannot click on links for security purposes, and the reason you'd want this set up as such is so that the link doesn't lead to a website that will give you a virus, that's a phishing scam, anything that is bad out there when it comes to the internet. So here is the link, and this is just a link, and if you hover over links, this is a good indicator of what the link is before you click on it. So if you hover over this one, you can just see right away that it is just an email to somebody at Capital One. So what happens is when you click on it, you can have options to open, email client that you use. In this case, it's Outlook, and then you can pick how to open it up. You can, well, this is selected mail, but if I select Outlook and then I click OK, it's automatically going to pull up Outlook, and it's going to let me compose a message to this contact, which is a normal behavior. Again, this might be blocked by the Exchange server because of security. And if I hover over this one, it's the same deal. And if I hover over this one, looks like it's the same deal. So now we know that this is happening, and as you saw, you have an option to pick on how to open these. Now, if it's just an email link like this, you can change that within Windows settings on how the behavior is for that. Now, if I click on it, let's see what happens. Well, you see now it defaults to just opening up in that mail client, which is this thing, and not actual Outlook. So we saw that previously. Now we can change this setting here. Let me just go to like here we are actually default apps. So if you go to default apps, you can change, instead of just mail, it's just what it was doing. You can say open up in Outlook. So all the things for when it comes to email. So in this case, we were looking at an email address. If I click on an email address, I want it to be open in Outlook 2016 by default. And you can choose to do anything else with this depending on what your mail client is. Now you can select Google Chrome if you're using Gmail, this and that, and kind of experiment to see what works for you depending on your setting. So now I've changed to Outlook 2016. If I go back here and I click on this one here again, now it opens it up in Outlook automatically. So you can check these type of settings to make sure that that's not the case, because it could be. That could be the case, or it could simply be blocked. Alternatively, you can copy paste the link and just manually, just copy it. Right click, copy email address or whatever it is that you need to do, right? Depending on type of link it is. In this case, I showed you how to make sure that your Outlook opens it up, so that should probably fix this issue. Yeah, I would like to see if this is the case. I have a feeling that would actually fix it. And here's Andrew Boyd, since user mentioned Andrew Boyd, so let's click on it. We can now see that Andrew Boyd is opening up in Outlook, which is perfect, right? This is what we need. Now, this does happen. It says here, this happens often with links to register for webinars, links to contact people, and links to reports or documents that trusted contacts sent to me. So yeah, I would go through this here first and see if there's anything in here that could resolve your issue when it comes to default. And for example, here's the web browser too. If you want your default to be, for example, Chrome, you can switch to that, or Edge, or whatever else that you want. Now, you can test this again. If it's just a webinar link or any type of link, you can copy it, and those should be full links, right? And not necessarily just like this. I mean, I don't know. I would have to see the email that you're receiving, but you can copy the link, right click, in this case, copy email address, or copy the link, or whatever it is, and then try it in a different browser to see what happens. And if it defaults you to the CCBC website, in this case, this is the company's website, probably the home page or something like that, or maybe some kind of a warning message or warning redirect that says you're not allowed to go outside of your company, or you cannot, if it's a blocked website, it's not approved website, then that should indicate that. So, but for those reasons, but you know, I don't have screenshots of this to verify this, but you can certainly try. And if it doesn't work in Chrome or whatnot, the same link, then the chances are it's just being blocked. So I'm going to say you can try to set default email client inside Windows OS to open email address links inside of Outlook or etc. For other links not working, try to copy / paste them inside of other browsers to see if the see if the security for the company you work for is blocking external links. But yeah, it could also be a simple behavior that is set up by the exchange, email exchange, so don't forget about that. But this is kind of what I would try first. Here it says try to set the default email client so that Windows OS opens the email address links inside of Outlook and etc. For other links not working, try to copy paste them inside of other browsers to see if security for the company you work for is blocking external links. I would start there. And then see what happens afterwards. I would just need, you know, specific errors or screenshots or basically see it to go any further than that. Oh, this is a ticket from Javier. Thank you, Javier. Check for updates. Error. Windows 10 won't install GPOs. Office 16 updates need help. All right, it says here, hello everyone. I'm currently installing a computer which was reinstalled twice now with Windows 10 for a new hire. So it's a new computer set up for a newly hired person. Every time I join the domain and I try to check for updates, it gives me an error which follows. Okay, so every time you join a domain and try to get updates, it gives you an error. Okay, so as a process of the computer, let's talk about this here. In case you don't know, joining a computer to a domain, oops, that's the wrong one. All right, so typically you would access this, it's what's called system. Information is that if you go to control panel, simply click system. And this may look different depending on the version of the Windows 10, but here's how you would join it. So here's what it's called system, but now it's called about. And if you scroll down, if you keep scrolling down, you can get option to rename this PC, but this is not what we want. If we click rename this PC, this is the pop-up you will get, and it just depends on the version of Windows. If you just click on rename this PC, you would just get like a little pop-up, and you type it in the new name for the PC. This here now is just pulling up advanced, and that's because it's a specific version of Windows, and they keep changing these menus, and I'm not happy about that because it makes it more difficult. What you would normally click, you would have to click on advanced system settings, which pulls up the same thing. It's just in a different way. So it's kind of stupid, you know, that they have this thing here, and now this has been changed to anyways, it doesn't matter. I don't like the way Windows are changing menus and options. So this is how you would add a computer to domain, and it's from system properties here. Make sure you're on the first tab, and then you can click on change, and here is where you can change the computer name. Now the computer names, depending on the way it's set up when it comes to Active Directory, you can pick any computer name, and that computer name is, and if it's automatically set up, it will automatically be added to the Active Directory. You don't have to go in and add it manually. That's one way to have it set up. But if you're joining a domain, obviously you have to click on domain, and then you, for example, have to type in the name of the domain. So let's say here, let's imagine that this is domain name, domain dot ht, it can be anything, dot edu at, I don't know, let's imagine mydomain.com. All right, so this could be a domain name. And once you've added it, and whatever the name you pick in there will be added to Active Directory automatically. Now that's one way if it's set up. Some cases you would generate the computer names ahead of time, and then you would use that specific computer name. If you already have that computer name, which is also known as a host name, you would reuse it. If it's like something that's you're re-imaging a computer, you're reinstalling everything. And once you click OK, it adds that computer to the domain and everything is great. Why would you want to do that? Is because domains like in this here, control updates for the computers that are part of that domain. They're part of Active Directory, and those specific computers have their own group policy objects, and those group policy objects will install, for example, specific software on them, and you would also provide them with the ability to install updates. All right, so that's not happening here because there is an error, and it says here this is the error, and it's just not working. It's failing, right? This is what's happening here, and we can look up this error later on. I don't know what it is, obviously, because there are tons and tons of thousands of different errors, so I don't know what the error is exactly, but that's okay. Let's keep moving. I've tried removing it from domain and checking for updates and don't get any error messages. No updates show up. So the reason the no updates show up is probably because it's specific to the software that's being controlled by the group policy objects. It's okay, it doesn't matter. The big problem is the group policies for user includes Office 2016 updates, which allow the user profile to authenticate with the Exchange server. So here's an example of this. He needs to join this computer to the domain because this domain has a group policy for user that includes Office 2016 updates, which allow the user profile to authenticate with the Exchange server. So what this tells me is there is a specific update that's controlled by the group policy for this user and for this computer that controls this specific update for 2016 that will allow them to connect, authenticate meaning to connect, and allow access to the Exchange server, meaning so that user can use email for that specific Exchange server, and it's specific to Office 2016. So we got two parts of this. User has Office 2016 installed. There's a specific updates that's required in order for emails to work and in order to connect and basically use in order to connect to the Exchange server, which is the email server. So, and here we go. So unless the updates run, the user can't use Outlook. And there you go. So these two things have to work together. This has to be their 2016 update in order to work. Step one, I tried, I removed and rejoined the domain multiple times. Sometimes the PC won't show up in the default folder until the following day, and if I'm lucky, try GP update force. This, GP update just updates the group policy that we've just talked about that controls the updates, right? So, and that's fine, and that has failed, looks like it. And I've tried CFS scan now. So this is basically in order to an attempt to, this command here is used to repair the image. So if, let's say there are corrupted files in the operating system, you would pull up a command line, type in these commands, and these commands would attempt to repair the image of the operating system, in this case Windows 10, right? That's what those commands are. I don't know if this is a server problem. I suspect it might be, or Windows system files corrupted problem with the computer. I can tell that Javier is really good at computers and he's trying all the things he can. Please help if the server group policy problem. How do I check, or where do I check? We have Windows Server 2012. Well, I mean, we have some screenshots. We'll look at those screenshots, but let me kind of put a pause on this because there's quite a bit to kind of consider here. Well, step one, you are installing a new image, right? It's a new operating system on a brand new, well, it doesn't matter if it's a brand new computer, but it's for a brand new user. That user is part of a group that has a group policy and part of group of people that use Office 2016. They need this specific update in order to use email part of it. So, and that's what's failing. And the group policy for that user, or for that computer, I should say, is not installing this update. And that's the problem. So that should be the problem unless there is something locally that's causing the problem. So there could be something within the operating system that's preventing the installation of the update. So let me look at the screen here. So here's a typical update screen. If I pull it up on my computer, check for updates, here's what's going on. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, that kind of looks like it might be an older version of Windows, but looks slightly different, I think. You see how mine has, it says updates, but yours, we've configured update policies, blah, blah, blah. I have a feeling this is an older version of Windows OS that you're using. So that might be an issue here. But here's the same thing, except mine says you're up to date, and his, it says error encounter, and there is that error. And here's a screenshot of the things he's tried. The GP update. By the way, you can do GP update on any user login. So if anybody without administrator privileges can open up a command line and do a GP update, this is basically just updates the group policy that pushes any software, any updates, any redirects, anything else that's set up for the domain and for that machine to push to that computer. This part of where it says /force, this basically makes it so it does it immediately as soon as possible. You can't do force unless you have administrator privileges. Okay, let's look at the other screenshot. Oh yeah, this looks a bit different. It doesn't matter. This is just a screenshot that tells you that the when not on domain, and he labeled it here. It says not on domain, and it says you're up to date. Well, because there is no group policy that's trying to push this specific Windows update, right? And this is why this is happening. And you can see that he's not on a domain, he's just on a regular work group, like I showed you earlier before I showed you how to change and add to domain. So yeah, it's simply specific to being on domain. Well, let me see here. Oh, okay. Oh, looks like he replied. I found out that the ISO was corrupted. Well, there you go. Yesterday I reinstalled Windows from ISO, which fixed the update error issue. So I'm assuming you're talking about that the image that's used by your company is corrupted, or the way you were doing it before is corrupted, or just whatever the image you had was corrupted. Yesterday I reinstalled Windows from ISO file, which fixed the update error issue. So you went and reinstalled Windows from ISO, which fixed the update issue. Now I'll be interested to know whether you got the update or the most recent ISO from Microsoft. In this case, if that's the case, then it's the Windows version that I've talked about that caused that to not install. So it could be that that update was not compatible with that Windows version. So now the PC checks for updates, but none come up, although it should come up. So now the PC checks for updates, but none come up, although okay, so the error is gone, but the updates are not being detected. The PC is still not recognizing the Office update group policy. Okay, but I still managed to connect the mailbox to Outlook. Each mailbox authenticates with the Exchange server by putting the username. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, check to see if the update for Office 2016, I believe it was 2016. Yeah, Office 2016. See if the update for Office 2016 is compatible with the current version of the Windows OS. There could be an issue with the GPO. However, if this works fine on other computers, then it is not a server problem. As simple as that. If this update works fine on other computers, then it's not a server problem. Now there could be something that's a combination of things that is preventing this update to install. And I'm going to do this actually here. Check to see if the update for Office 2016 is compatible with the current version of the Windows OS. Also, there might be some other updates already installed that are preventing the Office 2016 update. Preventing that specific Office 2016 update. This is a very interesting one, and I wish I had actually hands-on access to this. I'm going to look at this here. Yeah, so here is just a policy update error. Windows failed to apply the group policy drive map settings. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Windows have failed to apply group policy.ini. Okay, so this is just a regular failed update on the group policy. So there might be some kind of a disconnect. It's a very, very interesting one. I'm going to also say this first. Check to see if... Okay, so this is what I would do. Find the computer. I don't know why I put in D twice. Whatever. Find the computer name inside of AD and compare to other computers, to other similar computers. Meaning that if you go into AD, you can pull up this computer and say check members off. Members off GPOs, and see if something different stands out. So those are the things I would check just to get you going. I'm curious to see. Yeah, please let me know if this helps. And I know this was a long time ago, so this ticket is, September 9th, which is 20 days ago, 21 days ago. So I don't know, maybe you have this computer around still, but I would be very interesting to see if this actually knows. I like these are a bit more complicated. And he just says here they use Windows Server 2012. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things you can check here. I would be very interesting to see if this just one-off, meaning that it's just one computer that's causing this problem, then that's another story. But if it's multiple computers that are not getting this, it's patching issues. It could be a big deal, but a lot of times it is the update themselves that are causing the problem, but we don't know. It's a very good one, so I'm going to keep the ticket open just to see if that helps. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that. We have lots of tickets. These 3 tickets that we've just talked about. It took a lot of time to talk about, so I'm not going to make this video any longer than that. But we have a lots of tickets here, so be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of stuff. Even if you're not subscribed, please like or something like that. And YouTube should recommend my videos to you, you know. But, you know, if you really want to know, then just subscribe if you're interested. All right, that would be it. I wish you best of luck to all of you in your IT job search or IT experience, IT adventures, I should say. And yeah, yeah, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.